The tales of our primate relatives, the orangutan. Orangutan live alone in the lowland forest where they are found. They drink water from holes in trees and eat wild fruits like lychees, mangosteens, and figs. The orangutan's name, which is credited to the Malay language, translates to man of the forest. These very clever, orangish, long-haired primates are closely related to humans and are only found in Sumatra and Borneo. Orangutan, the biggest arboreal animal and recognized for their striking red coats, spend the most of their time in trees. They can pass through the branches thanks to their long, strong arms and their grabbing hands and feet. These big apes are highly clever creatures that have 96.4% of our genes in common. Welcome to the Animal Channel, the one channel for all the interesting animal facts around the globe. Ready to dive in? Let's go! Orangutan are larger than chimpanzees, but do not have the same robust physique as gorillas. In the wild, the adult male can grow to a height of 1.3 meters, 4.3 feet, and weigh 130 kilograms, 285 pounds. Females normally weigh 37 kilograms, 82 pounds or less. The adult male is typically twice as big as the female. An unusual trait among monkeys is the large cheek pads that older males develop. Red hair that is normally scarce and relatively coarse covers the typically dark tan or brownish skin. Adult males and certain older adult girls may have partially or completely bare backs. However, a man's hair may be so long that when he moves his arms, it resembles a cloak. In the family Hominidae of the order Primates, orangutan are grouped with humans, gibbons, and African big apes. The three subspecies of Bornean orangutans are P. pygmaeus moreo, P. pygmaeus, and P. pygmaeus wernbei, according to the majority of sources. Orangutan distribution was substantially wider during the Pleistocene epoch about 2,600,000 to 11,700 years ago, and orangutan remains have been discovered as far north as southern China. Orangutans spend the most of their time in trees, making them the most arboreal of the great apes. Their bodies are covered in reddish-brown hair, and their arms and legs are proportionately long and short. Male adults typically weigh 75 kilograms, 165 pounds, whereas female adults typically weigh 37 kilograms, 82 pounds. Younger subordinate men do not, and they more closely resemble adult females. Dominant adult males grow characteristic cheek pads or flanges and make extended cries that entice females and frighten competitors. Of all the great apes, orangutans are the most isolated. Social connections typically form between mothers and their dependent children. The majority of an orangutan's diet consists of fruit, though they also eat foliage, bark, honey, insects, and bird eggs. Both in the wild and in captivity, they have a lifespan of over 30 years. One of the most intelligent ape species is the orangutan. They make intricate sleeping nests out of branches and other vegetation each night, using a variety of specialized tools. The ape's capacity for learning has been thoroughly investigated. Within populations, there might be distinct cultures. Since at least the 18th century, orangutans have been depicted in literature and art, especially in pieces that make social commentary. Primatologist Byron Galdicus pioneered field ape studies, and from at least the early 19th century, apes have been housed in captivity in facilities all over the world. The three species of orangutans are all regarded as severely endangered. Populations and ranges have drastically decreased as a result of human activity. Poaching for bushmeat and retaliation for eating crops, habitat destruction and deforestation for palm oil farming and logging, and the illegal pet trade are all threats to the wild orangutan population. Orangutan survival in the wild is a priority for many conservation and rehabilitation organizations. One of the most intelligent non-human primates is the orangutan. They may be able to monitor the movement of both apparent and hidden things, according to experiments. The two Sumatran orangutans at Atlanta use a touchscreen computer to play games. According to a 2008 study of two orangutans at the Leipzig Zoo, orangutans may engage in the concept of calculated reciprocity, in which one person helps another with the intention of receiving something in return. The first non-human species to do so has been observed is orangutans. 2 adult captive orangutans were evaluated using the cooperative pulling paradigm in a 1997 study. The orangutans were able to lift off an object to obtain food in the first session even without any training. After 30 sessions, the apes had mastered coordination and were able to complete the task more quickly. Experiments indicate they can monitor the movement of both visible and invisible things. The mirror test has been successfully completed by an adult orangutan, demonstrating self-awareness. Mirror experiments on a 2-year-old orangutan were unsuccessful in revealing self-recognition. The largest arboreal species is the orangutan, which spends more than 90% of its waking hours in trees. The majority of their waking hours are spent sleeping and eating equally. Although they eat more than 400 different types of food, including invertebrates and, on rare and opportunistic occasions, meat, orangutans primarily ingest ripe fruit. Almost every night, orangutans bend and break twigs, leaves, and branches to create a sleeping platform in the treetops. Contrary to African apes, orangutans usually cover themselves in plants to avoid getting wet. Orangutans spend time going over the forest canopy, where they often scramble by utilizing all 4 limbs, in addition to feeding and sleeping. Sometimes orangutans simply use their arms to swing through the trees or bracation. Even though their legs are short, the great ape's arms are proportionately the longest. The lengthy fingers and short thumbs on the hook-like hands are on the palms. The opposable big toes on the feet, which resemble the thumbs, are a similar feature to those on the hands. Flexible hip joints, which provide orangutans equal flexibility in their arms and legs, are another arboreal adaptation. Orangutans move slowly on land. A person may easily keep up with them. They walk on closed fists or extended palms rather than the knuckles used by African apes. The Sumatran and Bornean indigenous people have long been aware of orangutans. In Sarawak, the apes are called Mayas, whereas in other regions of Borneo and Sumatra, they are called Mawas. While some cultures engaged in the practice of hunting them for food and ornamentation, others frowned upon it. Some traditional folk beliefs in central Borneo believe it to be unlucky to gaze an orangutan in the eye. In some folklore, orangutans mate with humans and kidnap them. Even hunters have been reported to have been abducted by female orangutans. In the 17th century, the orangutan's presence was made known to Europeans. In Borneo, they were heavily hunted by 60 explorers in the 19th century. Dutch anatomist Petrus Camper wrote the first scientific description of the orangutan in 1779 after observing the creatures and dissecting certain specimens. 64 to 65 Camper believed the flanged and unflanged male orangutans belonged to different species, an error that was cleared out after his passing. Before Byron Galdikas, who rose to prominence as an expert on apes, conducted field studies, little was known about the behavior of orangutans. Galdikas settled inside a rudimentary bark and thatch cabin at a location she named Kampliki in Tanjung Puting when she first came in Borneo in 1971. The following 4 years were spent studying orangutans as she created her UCLA PhD thesis. Galdikas became a vocal supporter of the protection of orangutans and the rainforest, which is being rapidly destroyed by loggers, palm oil plantations, gold miners, and uncontrolled forest fires. Galdikas is one of the Leakey's angels, so named after anthropologist Louis Leakey, along with Jane Goodall and Dian Fossey. Orangutans were being kept in captivity by the beginning of the 19th century. An orangutan was one of several animals that were housed in London's Exeter Exchange in 1817. Other than a dog, the ape was said to have favored human company and had refused the company of other animals. He occasionally received beverages at an inn where he behaved politely for the host and was taken on coach rides while wearing a smock frock and cap. A female orangutan named Jenny, who lived at the London Zoo, was clothed in human attire and trained to sipti. Her encounter with Charles Darwin, who compared her responses to those of a human kid, is what people most often recall about her. The social structure of orangutans is distinct from that of other apes and monkeys because it is semi-solitary. Adult males typically have greater home ranges than adult females, with population densities typically only averaging 2 to 3 people per square kilometer. Adult males are the most isolated, avoiding one another and only interacting with female consorts or ex-consorts. Subadult males tend to hang out with women. Female adolescents are almost gregarious, whereas adult females reside with their dependent children. Females who are open to sexual activity may draw multiple males, both subadult and adult. At this time, males, especially adults, act aggressively toward one another, engaging in battle in front of receptive females. The majority of mating occurs during consortships, which last 3 to 10 days and are associated with ovulation. Subadult males frequently forcefully mate with females outside of ovulation. Generally calm and thoughtful, orangutans have demonstrated tremendous inventiveness and perseverance in captivity, particularly when operating mechanical things. They have displayed cognitive skills like deceit, symbolic communication, foresight, causal and logical reasoning, self-recognition in mirrors, and tool manufacturing and use. Orangutans employ tools in the wild, although they only reliably create and use them for foraging in one area of Sumatra. In this situation, they defoliate suitable-sized sticks to pull seeds out of hard-shelled fruit and retrieve insects or honey from tree holes. In November 2017, a third species of orangutan was identified. The Tapanuli orangutan is the most endangered of the great apes, with fewer than 800 individuals remaining. These beautiful souls are disappearing, but it is not impossible to bring them back. We can help protect them. It's time we pick up the banner and fight for their right to live. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, and comment below. Turn on the notification bell to stay updated with our latest videos.